So we've covered several characters before that could arguably be considered the worst, but if you really think about it, only one character has ever been put on trial for actual crimes against humanity.
So, you're good with computers?
Yes!
Then put MP3s in my watch! I want talk radio and Frank Sinatra!
Well, that's not how it works.
Do it! Drag and drop!
Well, but I...
Drag and drop!
But this watch isn't even digital!
Hey folks, welcome to Squirrel Tactics. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out our Patreon and merch store, and yeah, let's just do this thing. The General!
For a great low rate you can get online!
No, not that one, and also not the Buster Keaton classic. Yep, the General. His actual name is never mentioned in the show. However, streaming sites like Hulu and Apple list his name as General Gum in the plot synopsis for Pour Some Sugar on Kahn. So apparently he's also known as General Gum, voiced by James C., who's probably best known for being Jackie Chan's voice double, you know, kind of like the whole Bill Murray-Lorenzo music thing. And he voiced several other characters on the show, including two other guys that strangely had influence over Kahn, Nguk Fong.
You destroy your own ethnic identity. It is sterilized in the chlorinated waters of your swimming pool.
And Dr. Money.
And all by just walking out to your mailbox. Of course, walking to mailbox, not so easy when you're mansion this big.
Now, the General is not a fan of Kahn. Let's be honest, not many people on the show really are.
Anybody want to watch the game?
And he makes it clear eventually to Kahn just how he feels.
But I just want you to know, you are a failure. You are a loser, a nothing. I am better than you in every way and can crush you whenever the mood strikes me.
In contrast, the General very much loves his daughter and granddaughter. He even loves Minh enough that he gives her these odd little anthropomorphic elephants. I'm guessing it's a nod to the Southeast Asian elephant, but I could be wrong. And apparently they play tennis and act as ninjas. It's a sweet little thing for him to do to show that he cares.
This is for you.
So sweet. I'll put right next to elephant dressed as ninja.
We never hear about what happened to Minh's mother, whom I'm guessing would have been the General's wife. They had at least 2 kids together, both girls, and the General really doesn't seem to be the divorcing type, so I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that he's a widower, though whether he had any part in that is unclear. Wouldn't surprise me though if I'm being honest. The General doesn't come off as being amongst the most patient of men, and apparently he used to be worse.
He took control of Homeowners Association earlier than planned. It was Daddy's first bloodless coup. He's really mellowing out.
Something I want to go ahead and get out of the way. It's my understanding that the country can be pronounced as either Laos or Lao, and the people referred to as either Laotians or just simply Lao. So just to make things easier, I'm sticking to the parlance of the show and will be referring to the country as Laos and the people as Laotian. Also, it's possible one of the reasons that the General hates Kahn is because Kahn is, again possibly, a Hmong, an ethnic group found in parts of Southeast Asia that makes up a chunk of the Laotian population, many of whom fought against the communists during the Laotian Civil War, a war that the General most likely earned his rank during while serving for the communists. So this may add a bit of a wrinkle to their relationship, or I could be completely wrong. It's also probably true that he co-signed for Kahn and Minh's mortgage, not simply to help out his daughter and granddaughter, but also to have something else to hang over Kahn's head. You know, just another way that he's better than Kahn.
Besides, he co-signed our loan, so kinda his house too.
I know.
So yeah, the General.
For a great low rate.
Stop it. Anywho, the General served as part of the Laotian communist government, and as typical when it comes to large-scale communism, as a high-ranking official, he and his family were pretty much next to royalty. We hear men refer to regular Laotians as peasants.
Oh, I bet this must be very exciting for you men. Where you're from, you probably didn't have the freedom to criticize your government.
Why would I criticize government in Laos? My father was general. I do what I want. I was peasants' worst nightmare.
It's also very likely that Kahn was one of these peasants. The General refers to him as a descendant of fishermen, so that probably didn't help their relationship either.
Welcome, General. I forgot how handsome you are.
Stand down, descendant of fishermen.
I do find it odd that we don't see or hear about the general's complete lack of respect for and damn near hatred of Kahn until his actual appearance and Pour Some Sugar on Kahn. And we even got this from the first time he was mentioned in Father of the Bribe.
Teenager's very rebellious. Big reason I started dating you was to rebel against Papa.
I thought the general liked me.
No, he never think you're good enough. For my sister, maybe, but not me.
Apparently part of the childhood afforded to men thanks to the general's position was weapons training.
I was young, beautiful girl with lots of rage back then.
Though it shouldn't come as a surprise that the child of a military leader would be taught how to use a gun.
You're never gonna be a war hero like me if you shoot like that. No wonder that kid from the playground stole your pail. He knows you can't shoot.
I want my binky back.
You want your binky back? You gotta come in firing. Now, try again.
But it does explain how Minh was such a good shot in The Men Who Knew Too Much.
This place takes me back to the days of shooting with my dad's original non-modified AK-47.
And as far as what types of activities he was up to while he served, well, he mentions that he had awaited trial at The Hague.
Unlike poetry, I shall now recite a poem I wrote while awaiting trial at The Hague.
And yeah, that's where the International Criminal Court is seated, which is where war crime trials are held. As in, it seems as though at some point the general was accused of crimes against humanity, possibly for being part of the Hmong genocide. But hey, it gave him a chance to work on his poetry. Granted, it still needs some work.
So much depends upon inhumanity and death. We must not forget, yet we cannot remember. Death be not proud? Then who?
And to make the relationship between the general and Kahn even more, well, let's say confusing, is the fact that in New Cowboy on the Block, Kahn actually contacted the general about the possibility of solving his issue with Big Willie Lane.
So I was thinking we could work together to get rid of Willie.
I talked to my father-in-law last night. He knows a guy who will do it for 5,000.
Kahn, I'll only operate within the confines of state law and the block charter.
And if the general was someone that Kahn had such an adversarial relationship with as we've been led to believe, he doesn't seem like the kind of person that Kahn would want to share the info that he was putting out feelers for taking out a hit with. Just seems like something the general would definitely use against him at some point. So we know that somewhere along the line he left the military and moved to the US, most likely California. And my guess would be probably either Orange County, because we know Kahn and Minh had lived there before.
We kick out of Laos. We kick out of Anaheim. I'm tired of running.
So it's very possible that the general lived nearish to them, or he might have lived near San Francisco, which is the headquarters for Pacific Bell.
So is it true Minh's dad used to work for a dictator?
Several dictators. And then he worked for Pac Bell.
For those unaware, Pac Bell, or Pacific Bell, was one of the regional bells spun off when AT&T was found to have a monopoly in the early 80s and was forced to break apart. Texas, by the way, had Southwestern Bell, and as you can tell by the chart here, AT&T was split up but has since pretty much acquired all those little pieces. We only see the general in 2 episodes, the first being as part of a flashback when Minh told Connie the real story of how she met Kahn, as opposed to the lie she had carried on about them meeting at a museum. Rather, they had met at a discotheque. Kahn was a bad boy, and the general wanted Minh to marry another man that he liked. In fact, she said she loved him like a son. But instead, he got Kahn as a son-in-law, which he is just so happy about.
Boy, how the general hate him. Push Pukong on me like you wouldn't believe. But I had to choose for myself. The corporate boy or the bad boy.
So yeah, let's just go ahead and add another reason why the general hates Kahn. His daughter went against his wishes to even get with him. The general even brings up the same guy when he comes to visit, updating Minh on the success he's found.
All I'm saying is, you and Connie would have been better off if you married Fukong.
I wouldn't exist if she married Pukong.
Is that what your dad told you?
And then we get to the General's main and only present day appearance in Pour Some Sugar on Kahn, where he comes to visit the house he co-signed for, and we see exactly how he treats Kahn right off the bat. Also, come on man, you don't just throw money at the taxi driver. You could treat Kahn however you want, that's fine, but that's just a guy doing his job. And he had to deal with the General the whole way, who is, as everyone can tell, just a beaming ray of sunshine cast upon everyone around him. The character on the show that most reminds me of the General is Cotton, though where Cotton is a mean kind of funny.
Bobby, you're a funny boy. Yeah, I used to chase skirt with your granddaddy. He's a mean kind of funny.
The General is just mean. He ain't funny at all, which I suppose is also like Cotton according to Boomhauer.
Cotton ain't no funny at all, man. He go to POW camp, man. I go bamboo shoots, talking about him putting them in them damn fingernails, man. Don't freak me out about that.
But no, the General is just mean and spiteful. He's the kind of guy that only smiles after making someone else sad, especially Kahn. Which brings me to the other character that the General reminds me of, and that's Kahn. In the same way that Kahn has to feel superior to the guys, the General has to feel superior to Kahn. Just as Kahn pushes the guys down to push himself up.
Hard work fine for you, sweat stains, but I'm meant for better things. I need new lucky numbers. Hey, Dotreef, what date your wife leave you?
So does the General. Though I will say that the General is more mean-spirited in his methods than Kahn is.
Hey, here, Billy. Those aren't logs, you know. Yeah, they for wipey.
Anywho, once they're inside, the General's treatment and disposition towards Kahn does not improve, insisting that he put digital music on a regular wristwatch, which of course isn't possible, but that's just an excuse to the General. The good news is that we learn that he likes talk radio and Frank Sinatra. One of those is definitely better than the other.
Drag and drop!
Drag and drop! But this watch isn't even digital!
Shortly after this, the General discovers that Kahn forgot to pick up rooster sauce, and this displeases him very much, I tell you what. So much so that he immediately sends off Kahn to fetch him some, leading to Kahn asking the guys if they have any. I mean, it's worth a shot, though swing and a miss, seeing as they're confused about what exactly he's wanting from them.
I'm not sure what you're asking me for.
Hot sauce! No!
Yeah, it's a hot sauce. For those unaware, rooster sauce is a sriracha hot sauce, the most popular version made by Hu Fong, which is referred to as rooster sauce because of the rooster on the bottle. Makes sense when you think about it. As far as why it has a rooster on it, well, the founder of Hu Fong Foods, David Tran, was born in the year of the rooster according to the Vietnamese zodiac. He's Vietnamese, by the way. And the brand name, Hu Fong, was the name of the refugee ship that took him out of Vietnam. I have always found it interesting that the General's treatment of Kahn is seen as harsh even by the guys, who typically laugh when Kahn gets a taste of his own medicine, but this was one of those times that they just weren't fans of what was going on, with one possible reason that Hank feels bad about it is that he sees parallels between how the General treats Kahn and how Cotton treats him.
My boy's a pump jockey. Works for tips.
Dad, I do not work for tips.
Pump jockey!
Dad, I am not a pump
Works
jock-
for tips!
Making the General kind of like Kahn's Cotton.
I have this weird feeling. I think it's sympathy for Kahn.
Know what you mean?
Mm-hmm. Who wants a beer?
Me.
Oh, man.
Hurries off to the market sycophantically to get the General his rooster sauce. And before I get anyone down in the comments, yes, rooster sauce is also known as cock sauce because of the rooster. Granted, a Vietnamese spicy condiment is not the first thing that pops in a lot of people's head when they hear cock sauce.
So we're just done with phrasing, right? That's not a thing anymore?
And of course, there have to be options when it comes to rooster sauce. At this point, Kahn had to make a decision, especially since his call to the General to find out which level of spiciness he wanted went about as well as anyone could have guessed, with Kahn not so much getting an answer as he got a tongue lashing for tongue lashing's sake.
Okay, General, got it. I'm not a man. But do you want spicy, extra spicy, or one where Rooster look really mad? Hello?
And let's cut the crap here, folks. The truth is that it doesn't matter which one he chooses. Hell, he could grab all three and a slab of cabbage cheese. Boy, that cheese. And the general would still berate him when he got back. Kahn could have traveled to the general's actual home and brought the version he had in his kitchen, and it would be the wrong type. Or he would take too long, or whatever it was that the general chose to complain about. Kahn ends up at the bar next door, understandable, and falls in love with singing karaoke. The song he performs is The Morning After, which, fun fact, was written to be the love theme for the film The Poseidon Adventure, and it won the Oscar for Best Original Song. So not only does Kahn butcher a song, he butchers an Oscar-winning song. But everybody loves it, and he goes home riding high on cloud 9. Until the general senses that Kahn may not be miserable, meaning his work is not done for the evening. Then you add to this the fact that Minh placed Kahn's karaoke picture of Kahn with his karaoke picture in front of the elephants that the general gave her as gifts, and yeah, them there's damn near fighting words. He at least has to try and take the wind out of Kahn's sails.
Don't be so happy with yourself. You're just singing someone else's songs. No skill involved.
They do get the general to attend when Kahn goes back to sing more. In fact, all 4 guys showing up for Kahn. I gotta say, I don't see Hank as a fan of karaoke, but strangely enough, I could see him as a fan of bar food. Not that any of that matters. What matters is Kahn, his karaoke, and the general's dislike for Kahn and the people that might be supportive of him in any way.
He is popular with losers. That make him #1 loser.
He kind of gives me the "your booze mean nothing to me" vibes, if I'm being honest.
Your booze mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer.
Kahn does well. Everybody's happy except the general, and apparently Kahn did such a good job that he's invited to perform at Nine Rivers Country Club.
Nine Rivers Country Club, now accepting applications from most of Ireland.
So he may not have a membership, but at least he gets to headline an event there. Yeah, Kahn's feeling pretty good. He's treating the guys nicely, even gives each of them an invitation to his performance. He's feeling so good that he actually stands up to the general when he comes out making demands, but mostly trying unsuccessfully to reassert his dominance.
Kahn, I need you to come and wash my clothes. They have taken on the smell of your house.
The night of the event comes along, and the general lets Kahn know that he wants to sing a song as well. So, Kahn's plan is to let the general sing whatever he picks, then go up there as the headliner and knock his rendition of The Morning After right out of the park to thunderous applause. Yeah, sounds like a good plan. Kahn's gonna have himself a great night.
Why don't we cross the bridge together and find a place that's safe and warm?
Except no, that didn't happen, because of course it didn't happen. The general couldn't let Kahn have any form of happiness. And again, this is a man that only smiles at the sadness of others. The general went up there, threatened the DJ, and forced him to play The Morning After. Yep, the general sang Kahn's song, making it rather redundant for Kahn to sing it afterward, and taking away what little confidence and power that he had gained. This puts Kahn into a deep depression, and this depression leads to Minh confronting her father, interrupting his enjoyment of watching fictional powerlifter Gildorf Mueller.
Do not interrupt me when Gildorf Mueller is pulling. Too bad there is not a world's weakest man, because Kahn would be unstoppable.
Seriously, that easily could have been a Cotton put down directed at Hank. I'm telling you, the two are so much alike. And like Cotton, he cares about someone, namely his daughter and granddaughter, which Minh uses against him in order to get him to make things right with Kahn, telling him that whether he likes it or not, Kahn is his daughter's husband and granddaughter's father. So, knowing that he has to do the right thing, the general goes into the room where Kahn is lying on the floor in the dark, and he gets him to sit up and talk with him. He's actually kind of soft towards his son-in-law until he starts speaking, and that softness goes away pretty quick, considering he goes on to tell Kahn that he's weak and a lesser man than himself in every single possible way imaginable. But there is a silver lining.
Now, if you accept that, because you are Minh's husband, I will leave here and let you save face in front of this inconsequential mix of bottom dwellers.
Good enough for me.
Kahn agrees that the general is better than him, probably because it still allows him to look superior to the other guys on the block in his own mind. And really, isn't that all Kahn wants when it pertains to the guys? Since Kahn agrees, the general heads home, treating Kahn better, but still refusing to shake his hand, which Kahn just accepts, probably the best action there, and before heading out, the general gives Kahn a compliment of sorts, but, it allows him to save face in front of the guys.
Kahn, I compliment you on your success in life. You are married to my daughter, and you have a child which you share with her. You have achieved things.
So, the general...
For a great low rate you can get online.
Okay, I get it, rule of three. There's not much good I can really say about the man. He benefited from working for dictators. He was accused of crimes against humanity. He's a mean-spirited jerk to everyone around him except for Minh and Connie. He's very much Kahn's Cotton, even though Kahn is his son-in-law instead of his son. He's less funny than Cotton. Honestly, he's less funny than Kahn, but one could easily draw parallels between Cotton and Kahn's attitude towards those who they see as being beneath them and the general's attitude towards Kahn. As I said earlier, he has to feel superior to Kahn in his own mind, just as Kahn has to feel superior to Hank and the guys. Hence why he was fine with the general still looking down on him and even admitting that the general was better in every way, because it allowed him to still look superior to the guys if only in his own head. I can't sit here and say that the general is the most heartless character, but he is probably the one responsible for the most deaths, and I'm willing to bet it probably ain't even close. He was responsible for the deaths of a lot of men, women, and children, and yet he shows less remorse than Cotton eventually would for killing far fewer just men. I'm not saying that the general is a monster, but when it comes to characters on the show, he's probably the closest we got. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see y'all next time.
You push it, beat, wrong move, bad move. You better move because I'm rough, I'm tough. I pop my collar up, creep, puff, jump back off. I'm telling you, back off. Hot danger, hot danger.